Genesis 25. Abraham had taken another wife named Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Joksan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Asherites, Letushites, and Leumites. I wanted to put another vowel in there and it didn't work. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Everything he owned, Abraham left to his son Isaac. But while he was still living, Abraham gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them off to the east after his son away from his son Isaac. Abraham lived a total of 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man who had lived a full life. He joined his ancestors. His son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite. This is the field Abraham had purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac. Isaac lived near Beer Lahoroi. This is the account of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's servant, bore to Abraham. These are the names of Ishmael's sons by the names according to their records. Nebaioth, Ishmael's firstborn, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their settlements and their camps, 12 princes according to their clans. Ishmael lived a total of 137 years. He breathed his last and died. Then he joined his ancestors. His descendants settled from Havilah to Shur, which runs next to Egypt all the way to Asher. They settled away from all their relatives. This is the account of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife became pregnant. But the children struggled inside her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she asked the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two people will be separated from within you. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." When the time came for Rebekah to give birth, there were twins in her womb. The first came out reddish all over like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. When his brother came out with his hand clutching Esau's heel, they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skilled hunter, a man of the open fields, but Jacob was an even-tempered man, living in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for fresh game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked some stew, and when Esau came in from the open field, he was famished. So Esau said to Jacob, Feed me some of the red stuff. Yes, the red stuff, because I'm starving. This is why he was also called Edom. But Jacob replied, "First, sell me the birthright." "Look," said Esau, "I'm about to die. What use is a birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear on an oath to me now." So Esau swore an oath to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate and drank, then got up and went out. So Esau despised his birthright. Okay. This is an interesting section because what it's doing is going to tell us all about Abraham's combined descendants and Abraham's death. So he has another wife named Keturah. So let's go look that up. So Genesis 25. What does Keturah mean? We're not going to look up everyone's name, but when women show up, I do like to make sure that we take a look at them because sometimes there's something in the name that we should be thinking about. And since we don't know the meaning, we could not do that unless we looked it up.
Strong's H, 6989. Keturah. Keturah.
You can also hear how closely I might be accurately pronouncing them. Incense. Incense, that's an interesting name. I don't think there's anything for us to get out of that. So she bore him 6 sons. I mean, there's not like you can read into how many sons someone has. Like it's what's going to happen. So 6 sons there. So half as many as Ishmael. And then we get the descendants going further down and the groups of names. So as the people are in the land later and they're looking around, where do these tribes come from? We know who is family and who is not. Zach attack. The stew must have been delicious. Absolutely. Probably very, very delicious. All right. What's interesting on one level is Abraham is 99 years old when when she gets pregnant, 100 when Isaac is born. So after she dies, he takes another wife. Now, we don't know the timing of this other wife, okay? The story is told after Isaac has a wife, Rebecca. But sometimes you can tell a story and go forward, and then you're jumping back in time. So perhaps the reason that they were living apart is because he had no comfort because Dad had married again. So he might have went and married again. And then, Isaac just did not feel like being around, stepmom. And and all the younger brothers. Kind of like Ishmael does. But what's interesting is when Abraham dies, Isaac and Ishmael both go bury him. It doesn't mention any of the other sons here that go and bury him, but Ishmael and Isaac go and they bury him and they know where to bury him. They both have a connection to him, have wandered in the land with him, and so they go and bury their father. And we have the reading of this, and I wanted to go look at it because somebody brought this up the other day that there's a discrepancy of the telling of the story from the Old Testament to the New Testament on this. Why is that just saying guard yourself? That's weird. That doesn't, it's not connected. Okay, not sure what that's going on there. Okay. Anyway, I think in the New Testament, the story gets mixed up a little bit at where he bought it from and who he bought it from, but I don't know that it matters so much. This would have been here, and they go and they know where it is, and that's, I think, the point of it. So he returns back to where he is living, and then we're going to get through the genealogy of Ishmael. So we go to the less important descendants who happen after Sarah is born, but there's no promises made to them about land or anything. We just get the mention of them, that Abraham had other kids. We go back to Ishmael. We're going to just kind of follow the end of the Ishmael story. We're going to get to know who the 12 princes are of Ishmael, and we already had a promise that he would be they would be a nation as well. And so now we get to see also why we're reading all the genealogies here is the promise was for Abraham to be the father of many nations. If you only have one son, how do you get to be the father of many nations? He had more sons. He had a son through Hagar. He had sons through whatever the name is. I can never remember her name, the third wife. Keturah. And then we'll go back to Isaac later. Okay, so we have the listing there of Ishmael's sons and by names, and there are 12 princes, which is interesting that he has 12 princes here, which are when we get to Jacob will have 12 sons. So we have these parallels that are happening here on some level of descendants, but we're off by a generation or so. So we can also see that with Rebekah. She is the granddaughter of Abraham's father. But so, like, or great-granddaughter, whatever it is. Like, they're off by an extra generation between going down from his brother's granddaughter and his brother's son, or his son and his brother's granddaughter get married. So it's a generation different between them. So he dies as last. They bring him there. And then we're going to get to the account of Isaac. So Isaac is 40 when he marries Rebekah, and he is 60 when she is pregnant. So they try for 20 years. And she doesn't have children. So again, this doesn't look like God is going to be able to carry out the work of the promise. Okay, you want to talk about being impatient, people. Okay, the promise is given to Abraham after the promise looks like it could have even been possible to start with, because he's 75 when he calls Abraham. And it's 25 years later that he has a son. Now, you get told at 15, you're going to be the father of many nations, and by age 25, you've got a kid. That's not a long wait, 10 years there. And it would have been too early to do anything really when you started there. So you could see that. But you're 75, okay, it could happen, but wait till you're 99 to get, your wife get pregnant, 100 when you have your first kid. Doesn't look like a good plan. Then it says he lived 175, so we could do a whole bunch of math there, and I'm not going to figure out ages because I think sometimes they're symbolic, so we're wasting time to actually track down and figure all those things out. But here we have them being prominent. So he's 40 when Rebekah marries him, and he's 60, so 20 years of infertility. Sarah, his mother, many more years of infertility. 90 years, we could say, of infertility on some level. I don't know when they would have got married, but also it says when they got married, she already was barren. So anyway, so Isaac prays to the Lord on behalf of his wife. So notice he is praying on behalf of his wife to be blessed, not that his name gets carried on. Don't miss this. He prays on behalf of his wife. And God answers his prayer, and his wife, Rebekah, does become pregnant. So he's not praying, hey, my dad had this promise. He passed it on to me. I'm supposed to be the father of great nations and all of this stuff. Doesn't have that. And during pregnancy, there's a struggle. Like the children are wrestling and jostling inside, and Rebekah's like, something's not normal here. Why is this happening? So she asks the Lord. So what's interesting is like God is asked, and she becomes pregnant. There's something in the pregnancy, and God is again asked about the situation here. But then as we read the rest of the story going forward, there's not always this connection of going and asking God. It doesn't seem like, but we have the setup here. So she goes and asks God, and here's the answer: like 2 nations are in your womb, 2 peoples will be separated from within you. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. So When the time came for Rebekah to give birth, there were twins in her womb. The first one came out reddish all over, like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. The term Selah, meaning to make successful in the Hifel verb stem, is the key term in the story. Okay, it feels like the footnotes are, I'm going to just hit the Hebrew here. Okay, let me go back to notes. Yeah, the notes are on the wrong chapter. I don't know why they're on the wrong chapter. So we're basically 25-25. Let me reload this. I got to reset all the stuff. Okay. We're 25-25. Like, the notes were not matching up. I don't know why. Okay, 25. There we go. Why are there no notes? Net notes. Well, something's going on with notes. Maybe we won't have notes today. Okay. Anyway, she asks, God answers, says there's two nations. Well, that's what we're trying to look up, is what did Esau mean or Harry mean? His brother came out clutching at his heel. Yeah, we need the footnotes here. Why is this not working? Let me try one more time. Let's do this. Let's go to Genesis 10. Oh, no, let's go somewhere else a second. Go to Ecclesiastes. There we got footnotes. Now we'll go back to Genesis 25. Okay. There we go. And what a person is foreknown. What? What benefit does man have in that? Wow. Like, these footnotes are like, something is off here. Let's just, I guess we're just done with that. We're not going to have footnotes today, everybody. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with that it's all messed up. Okay, so Esau's clutching, or Jacob's clutching Esau's heel. So here's a question. The story never tells us that Rebekah goes and tells Dad or Esau about this. Doesn't say in the story Rebekah had, because Rebekah inquired of God. Did she not tell Jacob, or sorry, I always want to go Jacob, Isaac about the message from God? Does she not say that? Does she not answer? But Esau grows up and he becomes a skilled hunter, and so he is the one that Dad loves. And Rebekah loves Jacob. Why does Rebekah love Jacob? Because the promise of the younger was going to be the one. Would seem to be the reason why, but maybe not. Maybe it's just different, and they independently come to love a different one. And maybe she did tell Isaac about it. We don't know. But it's like, why don't they make that mention? And then we have the mention of one parent loving one child more than the other, and the other parent doing the opposite. This is not telling us good news. This is not telling us good parenting strategy. It's simply telling us what is. Welcome in. I'm watching you, people. Okay. And then we get our first encounter with the boys. Jacob cooked some stew, and when Esau came in from the open field, he was famished. So Esau said to Jacob, feed me some of the red stuff. Yes, this red stuff, because I'm starving. That is why he is called Edom, which, would be a... Why was Esau always also called Edom? Because he sold his birthright so he could eat him some stew. which is a horrible joke because that's not what it means. Let's just go over to Genesis 25 a minute. Let's find some of these words that are not showing up in the other. I do not know why they're not working today. I thought they were working earlier, but okay. Bum, 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 bum. What does Esau mean? Esau means hairy. So he is called hairy because he was hairy. Like, you know, if you had a boy that came out with a full head of hair and hair all over, you might call him hairy. Maybe that's a decision maker for you. So they called him hairy, but he gets called Edom. Edom means red, and we'll get that in the story later. Okay, this is why he is called Edom. That's going to be verse 30. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's keep rolling through. Jacob and what does Jacob mean? Who's grasping the heel. Look at the way that the heel is. Achab. Achab. Let me just play that for you a second.
Strong's H 6119. Achabe.
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 And now here's
Strong's H 3290.
Jacob.
Yaakov. Yaakov.
Okay. So, heel holder or supplanter. Heel holder or supplanter. You heard that. I was the dapperest pastor in Dappertown. Vinyl Ross. Thank you, friend. Okay. So we're just like name meanings mean something, you know, or naming convention meant something. Okay. Esau was a cunning hunter in the field. That's not what we're looking for. Rebecca loved Jacob. I like when they call it some red pottage. Like, who uses the word pottage? It's so funny. That's why he is called Edom. Come on, scroll on through. Wow, loading is bad today, man. So he's called hairy because he's hairy, but he is called that's why he's called Edom or Edom. So we have, oh, wrong one. So Edom, you see this spelling here? Edom means red or ruddy color, often a horse.
Strong's H 122. Edom. Edom.
And Edom will be welcoming in you just shortly.
H 123. Edom.
Edom. So there we have it, everybody. I know, third rate today. Minute, but I will just quickly finish up. We were reading in Genesis 25. So he sells his birthright for some stew, and we were just looking up. Edom sounds like the word for red, and so the stew is red. So he is called Edom because the stew is red, not Edom because eating some stew. I know it's funnier in English, then it probably makes no sense in Hebrew that joke would even work. But here we have an interaction between the brothers. One is exploiting the other, but one does not care about a birthright. He doesn't care. Now, the birthright is being the older one, the one who will care for his family. So the evidence of his brother not actually caring for him, like if he wanted to be the one who cares for the family, He shouldn't have sold the stew. He should have gave it to him. And you know, it's like, it's an interesting little juxtaposition here of that happening. But we have that, and he has a despise for his birthright. He doesn't care about it enough to figure out something else. Also, like, how long would you have been out there and not been prepared and have nothing to eat that you were going to really think you're going to die? I don't know.